Alright, so this is a rundown of my current pedal board. This is pretty much the signal chain that I'm using right now. There's a couple of things that are missing. There's a Barge Concepts VFB2 variable feedback blender that I want to put the Fulltone bass drive and then this bass equalizer into a loop for, since distortion usually cuts off your balls as a bassist. So to keep that low end in, I'm going to keep them isolated and put them in a loop, so that way I can boost the bass frequencies and cancel that effect out. But anyway, this is the beginning of the pedal board. This is the volume pedal. You know, if you're going to have delay, reverb, things like that, you want to have a volume pedal so that you can you know, do some volume swells and some other things like that that are always fun to do with those types of effects. And that goes into the digital delay DD5. That one is set at a mild delay time. It's a pretty good delay pedal. It's been working just fine for me. Then I've got the Boss RV3. There's a lot of people that knock Boss, but this board kind of has a lot of Boss effects on it. They do what I need them to, and it doesn't give me any trouble, and I get sounds that I want, so whatever works. The RV3 is a really solid reverb pedal. I like it a lot. Jeff Cashied from ISIS is the one that made me want to use this pedal, which brings us to the next one, the Boss PS3, which Jeff Cashied also uses. I use that as a heavy chorus. I think it's a little bit more fuller and dense than some other choruses that I've heard. It works out really well for me. I use that a lot in unison with the delay and or the reverb, or sometimes all three at the same time, because that gives it just a little bit more flavor and texture to it that I like personally. Maybe you don't, but whatever. There's the bass drive, Fulltone bass drive. It's a really solid distortion, but as with all distortion pedals, it can cut off the low end that you've got. So that's undesirable, seeing as you're going to be playing bass. You want to have some low end, or quite a bit. This one's pretty good. It's a 2-channel, so there's a there's the actual overdrive, and then there's a boost. So you can set this up so that there's a you can have the distortion, and then if you want the distortion to get even more thick or loud, you can use the boost channel here, and that'll do that for you. Fulltone makes pretty good pedals, so keeping that one on there. There's the Boss BF2, which was a thing that I kind of stole from Justin Chancellor. I have it set to a mild flange. It's not really swirly, but it gives me some kind of slightly chorus texture, but a little bit different. I'll give you a demo of what it sounds like after I've done the rundown of the board. And then after that, I've got another RV3. The first one I've got set at a very saturated, large room reverb, and then this one has got a quick delay on it. So that way, you know, there's some songs that I'd like to have that have different delay times. The DD5 has got a different delay time than this one. So got a couple other delay pedals on the board as well, so you'll be seeing those later. And then there's the Boss DC3 Digital Dimension, also chorus pedal. This one is a little bit less prominent of a chorus, so if I want to back off and not do quite as saturated an effect level, I'll use that one. And that goes from there into the Guyatone VTX tube tremolo. I prefer this over the Boss TR2. It's got a much warmer, resonant tremolo. I feel like it has more variety in the sounds that you can make off of it, and just overall better pedal. And you know, people keep giving me shit that I've got Boss pedals, so figured I'd throw some other stuff on there. And then that goes into the bass whammy. Again, something I took from Justin Chancellor of Tool. This is a ridiculously fucking expensive pedal, but I had to have it to do whatever it is that I want to do with it. I haven't really found too much of a practical use for it in my own playing, but I'm trying to work it in there. It's a really cool pedal. I mean, on this side here, you've got these different options where the pedal will actually make harmonies for you and then go up to this over here. So this one here will do down an octave and up an octave, so it kind of sounds like you're doing some really interesting things. Chancellor uses it on these two for a couple of songs, I know for sure, the 5th up, 6th up, and the 5th up octave. Basically, all that you have to do for that is just push that treadle forward and it shifts the pitch, so it's pretty sweet. And that goes into the EHX Q-Tron Plus Auto Wah. I wanted to get the Guyatone BR2, but I unfortunately couldn't find any on eBay, and I heard that EHX put out some solid stuff. Tried it out, and it's been working out pretty well, but there's a BR2 on eBay right now that I'm checking out. Hopefully I can get the funds and get that one, and then probably sell this one or keep it. I'm not sure. I'll cross that bridge when I get to it. That, however, goes into the Colorsound Tonebender, another Justin Chancellor pick. This one has got, it's a fuzz pedal, but really on a bass you can't tell the difference really between fuzz and distortion, so I basically just use it as a really, really, really thick distortion. It's got a lot of bass that it maintains, which is surprising. But it sounds pretty badass, like that one. That goes into the DD3, so this is, if you're keeping count, the third pedal that I actually use delay with, but it's technically the 5th delay pedal, I think. Yeah, 5th delay pedal in my signal chain. This one's at an even slower, and I think it only repeats once, so it doesn't give as many delays as the other two that I'm using. Again, just so that, you know, I'm lazy, I don't want to switch between them in between, like in the middle of a song or whatever, so whatever. And then that goes into the Line 6 DL4, which I use as a phrase sampler. It's got a lot of different stuff that it does, but I use it to record a loop and then store that and then play some stuff over it, which is pretty handy. I mean, if I'm just going to be doing some stuff by myself, I can record something simple and then solo over it. It's really helpful. I'd recommend getting one like that. If you're a musician, it can really help because, you know, you can figure out what notes go well with what notes and what kind of chord progressions go with what. So it's a really helpful pedal, and it's just really fun to play around with. That goes into the SansAmp GT2, which is another distortion pedal. It's a little more subtle than the bass drive, and definitely more subtle than the Tonebender. This one is also something that I stole from Justin Chancellor. It's used on the song H and a couple others. I can't think of any more right now, but it's definitely used in the beginning of H. Pretty much got it set the same way that he's got it on there. And that pedal goes into the MXR M80 bass DI. This one's pretty cool. It's a DI box, so I use that to, since pedals kind of jack the shit out of your tone, I use this one to kind of build it back up post effects. And then so this one is always on, and then it's also got this second channel. I use that as a volume boost if I'm using some higher notes, you know, higher strings and higher frets. I can use this and it'll kind of bring that out a little bit more, because the way that I play, I use a lot of bassy notes, and some of the way that my setup is EQ'd, it kind of loses some of the clarity or some of the volume on the higher notes. So I've got that to kind of counterbalance that. And then that goes into the Aguilar Tonehammer, another one from Cashied from ISIS. This is the second